Devotees from across the globe, staff and students, a very good morning and welcome to the One World, One Family World Cultural Festival. Just as the Alps reflect the golden glow of dawn, Austria reflects the harmony of culture, creativity and compassion through its people. As the cherished saying goes, where there is music, there is peace. In this land, where every note finds its place and every heart beats in rhythm, the spirit of art, intellect, and serenity flows like the graceful Danube River. From the imperial charm of Vienna to the alpine beauty of Salzburg and Tyrol, Austria is a nation where nature and nobility coexist in perfect balance. Beyond its mountains and music, Austria embodies the enduring power of peace, discipline, and human connection. Its people reflect a rare blend of tradition and progress, hospitality and harmony. Resonating with the ancient Indian idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one world, one family, Austria stands as a testament to how culture and compassion can unite humanity in a universal symphony of love and understanding. This morning, as part of the Universal Wisdom for a United World lecture series, we are honored to welcome Mr. Gottfried Prinz, a man whose life harmonizes compassion, reflection, and melody. Mr. Prinz serves as a spiritual caregiver, offering solace and guidance to people in hospitals and care homes. His presence brings calm to the most fragile corners of human experience, reminding us that care for the soul is as vital as care for the body. Rooted in his studies in spiritual theology in interreligious processes, Mr. Prinz embodies deep respect for all faiths and its people seeking meaning and peace. Beyond his spiritual service, he is also a songwriter, one who transforms human stories of struggle, hope, and resilience into music that heals. Through his songs, he bridges the sacred and the secular, the emotional and the eternal. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mr. Gottfried Prinz.
Saram. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear students, dear members of the One World, One Family organization. The title of my speech is Remain in Resonance. I am filled with deep gratitude for this extraordinary honor of standing before you today and addressing you. The message of one world, one family is probably more important today than ever before. Based on my understanding of spirituality, I feel part of it, even though I did not know the organization 1 year ago. Thank you, all of you. Thank you to the Austrian team of One World, One Family for allowing me to be here with you today. Before I begin my speech, I invite you all to observe a moment of silence. Please send thoughts of peace from Muddenahalli out into the world, which so desperately needs peace, for as long as you can hear the sound of the singing bowl. Thank you. It was Sunday evening on 2nd June when I had just made my dinner and my mobile phone suddenly rang. I didn't recognize the number. It was only when the employee, Ms. Sarala Pelikan, said her name that I remembered that we had been in contact a few months earlier. The message was surreal to me at first. My partner helped me to believe in it. But when I started to think about it, I realized that the timing couldn't have been better. It was in the middle of the Pentecost Novena, the 9 days between the Christian holiday Ascension Day and the high feast of Pentecost, the feast of the Holy Spirit. It is said that the Holy Spirit does not make new things, but makes all things new. Things take on a new quality through the Holy Spirit. Perhaps this can compare to Buddhist awakening. You do certain things before awakening, you awaken, and you do the same things after awakening, but with a different quality. So what the Spirit really does can never be captured. Rather, it works in unpredictable ways. It is unfathomable. At the same time, the Spirit brings life, calls out of old habits, brings dynamism into life. You could say it is the pulse of the cosmos, and always good for surprises. But the Spirit is also gentle and careful and gives you the time you need. Preparing for the speech today has also been an opportunity for me to reflect on how spirituality affects me. Ever since I began to take a conscious interest in the topic of spirituality, I have always thought of it in broader terms than within one denomination or one religion. When I was doing my degree in education, I wrote a kind of thesis on love and prayer. If there is a name for the great mystery, for God, it is love. Another name would probably be music. It was then that I realized that what we call love is much more differentiated, and that there are more terms in Greek and probably in your language too that are translated German as in English with the one term love. So what kind of love are we talking about when we speak of divine love? Love, like music, is universal and independent of personal belief and religious affiliation. Love is the foundation, and so is music. After many more years, I completed a master's degree in spiritual theology in interreligious process. This broadened my horizons even further. For my master's thesis, I focused on the success and failure of human love, on marriage, divorce, and remarriage. In doing so, I immersed myself in anthropology from an Orthodox Christian perspective. I began to understand that self-awareness is a prerequisite for experiencing the even greater mystery. And that this experience means that every person ultimately always remains a greater mystery. You will never be able to fully understand another person if you do not have great respect for the inner mystery. A study from 2025 found the liquefaction of the Christian understanding of God in Austria. It can be said that Christianity, in all various facets, is the strongest religious community in Austria. Much of Austria's history is characterized by Christianity, especially Catholicism. Especially in rural areas, traditions are still alive and closely linked to the Catholic Church. At the same time, I read from this study that spirituality is certainly relevant. It just doesn't fit into traditional categories. I would say that people have grown up spiritually. They have more or less left adolescence behind. Since the study found that spiritual experience has gained in importance, I would like to say a few words about this. The study confirms a famous quote by the Austrian theologian Karl Rahner. The pious of tomorrow will be a mystic, someone who has experienced something, or he will no longer be. But is it therefore necessary to talk of God in such an experience? To answer this question, I would like to quote another Austrian who I would describe as one of the great spiritual people. His name is David Steindl-Rast, OSB, and he is now 99 years old. He has launched a worldwide movement called Grateful Living. And he asks, how do we get from this religious experience to the concept of God or to religions? Apparently, the reality that is called God by those people who use the term God and feel comfortable with it is a reality of which all people are deeply aware. But some people object to labeling this reality as God, and they may be far more comfortable with it than others. They may have such a reverence for this profound experience and reality that they do not wish to associate it with the name of God, which has been so distorted and has so many unfortunate connotations. Brother David adds, clinging too tightly to ideas of God threatens our personal relationship with God, which can only flourish if we allow the unimaginable to take hold of us again and again in new and different ways. Moreover, overemphasizing names and images of God quickly leads to disagreements between us because we too easily forget that they all point to the one and the same powerful, unifying life force. So, Brother David. In doing so, he creates a connection between the different terms that people use to describe the experience of the ever greater from the study. Belief in God, spiritual power and energy, universe, all connectedness, and so on. And with his formulation, he addresses something that another famous Austrian, the psychiatrist and psychotherapist Viktor Frankl, associates with the experience of true love, which he describes as something sacred. For Frankl, religiosity is the most sacred thing of all, which is why he calls for a high degree of sensitivity in dealing with it. What Frankl called religiousness is usually referred to today as spirituality. He wrote, religiousness represents true intimacy at least as much as love. It is intimate to human beings in the double sense of the word. It is innermost to them, and like love, it is under protection of shame. Genuine religiosity also hides itself from all publicity for the sake of its authenticity. It hides itself so as not to betray itself. That is why great carefulness is required when it comes to subtle things. Many people who never go to church or to a temple are probably more spiritual than others who pray so much that they fail to hear God. Above all, prayer means listening deeply within oneself. This requires times of silence, because the term God, from an etymological point of view, was originally understood to mean not only that which is called, but perhaps also that which calls us. Prayer is therefore above all an experience of resonance. In a hymn from the 4th century, the author Gregory of Nazianzus therefore carefully restrains himself to express his amazement at the great mystery, for which there are ultimately no words. I got to know it during my studies and it became one of my favorite prayers at all. We always sang it together at the beginning of a module, and I would like to read it for you now. What name should I use to call you, who art above all names? You, the over everything, what name shall I give you? What hymn can sing your praise? What word can speak of you? No spirit can penetrate your mystery. No mind can understand you. All speech comes from you, but you are above all language. All thinking comes from you, but you are above all thought. All things call you out, the mute and the gifted with speech. All things unite to celebrate you, the unconscious and that which is conscious. You are the end of all longings and silent strivings. You are the end of all sighs of your creation. All those who know how to interpret your world unite to sing your praise. You are both everything and nothing, not a part nor the whole. All names are given to you, and yet none can grasp you. I would now like to delve a little deeper into the spirit of connectedness with which we resonate in our innermost being. Connected by the one spirit, the one breath. The first person to speak of spirituality in the sense that many people understand it today was Swami Vivekananda at the First World's Parliament of Religions on 11th September 1893. He was a key figure in introducing Vedanta and yoga to the West. Among other things, Vivekananda emphasized the need to act in the service of society. And for him, Christ, Buddha, and Krishna were incarnations of the one God. However, the term spirituality did not appear in his speech. The term spirituality actually comes from the baptismal theology of the ancient Christianity. But the divine spirit already played a central role in the Hebrew Bible, or the Old or First Testament of Christianity. This is told in mythological language about the creation of man. It says that there was nothing yet on earth, and that moisture rose from the earth and saturated the entire surface of the arable land. And then it says, and the Lord God formed man of mud from the earth and breathed into his face the breath of life, and man became a living soul. First, God formed a figure out of mud from the earth. You could say that God is an artist who molded a work of art. The breath, the spirit, transforms these works of art into living, dynamic beings that move, that are autonomous, that are free. Body and spirit enter into an indissoluble union. The dead body acquires the spiritual dimension and becomes a living being. In Latin, to breathe in is inspiravit, which can also be said to mean to inspire. Further on it says spiraculum vitae, which translates as breath of life. Breath and spirit are one. And since spirit is life energy, it is probably comparable to Shakti. Now we can say every human being is of divine nature, without exception. Therefore, every human being has their own divine, unique dignity, regardless of whether they are tall, short, young, old, healthy or sick, male or female. And all have the same dignity, because all breathe the same universal breath, are unique, precious expressions of a divine, mysterious reality. In the Greek text, prosopo or prosopon stands for face. This is where our term person comes from. However, prosopon also means mask. Personare literally means to sound through the mask. This in turn means that we are all connected to each other through this one spirit, through this one breath. Our outward appearance and our characteristics differ, but what makes us alive is the same spirit. Deep down, we all have the same fuel. In German, you could also say Sprit, a variation of the word spirit. And that is why the simplest and perhaps most important spiritual exercise is to sit down every now and then and become aware of your own breath. What the Bible describes so beautifully in mythological images, you can become aware of every moment. In every breathing cycle, a new creation takes place within me, in the here and now. For this reason, the basic everyday experience of life can simply be the conscious inhalation of fresh air, which every person, every breathing being should have the right to do. Breathing in, breathing out, nothing more. It is now very easy to understand why every human being and every other breathing being is an expression of divine reality. Everyone is a unique expression of the fascinating creativity of the great mystery that is in relationship with everyone. Everyone has this life-giving potential within them. This does not mean that you have to necessarily be aware of it. The most important knowledge you can gain is therefore self-knowledge. You could say that self-knowledge is the greatest science of all. In the Upanishads, for example, it says, those gods in the Brahman world worship him, the Supreme Spirit, as the self. Therefore, they possess all words and all desires. He attains all words and all desires who has found and knows this self. It is an experience that all spiritual teachers emphatically point out. Today we know that self-awareness is fundamentally important if you want to accompany other people. Even if this hardly means the experience of the resonance with the great self, the true self. But even the realization of your own self can already help you move forward. There is a story in which a disciple asks his master why he still judges other people. The master replies, because you have not yet recognized yourself. We often react very sensitively to the mistakes of others because we have not yet recognized that they are our own. In psychotherapy, this phenomenon is called projection or transference. I recognize my own dark sides in other people as if in a mirror, which I prefer to suppress and don't want to see. Conversely, this means that I can not only recognize the negative in others, but of course also the positive. The world would be a much more peaceful place. I could say that because we have the same potential, I am able to believe in the best in you, because we are all part of the greater whole of goodness. You are as much an expression of the divine as I am. I think you could also simply call it life. And because the divine may show itself in you in a completely different way, perhaps unusual way, you could say, wow, the great mystery, God, is really creative. But that also makes us co-creators. I can go one step further and say, if I have traveled with this path of self-knowledge within myself, I can trust that it will resonate with the self in you when we meet. I don't even need to believe anything in you. In this way, true self-care can become care for others. When you come into contact with holy people, when you come into contact with people who are truly whole inside, you can feel it in yourself. So when I am in contact with myself in this way, I can say that myself is healthy. Namely, when it knows that it is connected to everything else, and thus also to something much greater. If it forgets this, it becomes the ego. The ego is nothing more than a sick self that has forgotten its true self, that is no longer connected to others, and that cannot establish any real relationships. For fear of not being enough, it feels bigger than others and wants to gain power over these others. Further on, in the Christian Holy Scriptures, it says, "Then the Lord God planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there he put the man whom he had formed." That is the translation of the German text into English. I never wondered what the meaning of Eden was. In Latin, translation of the Greek term Eden is paradise of pleasure. There it reads more precisely, "And the Lord God had planted a paradise of pleasure from the beginning, wherein he placed man whom he had formed." From the very beginning, from a Judeo-Christian perspective, man was created to live in a paradise of joy. The paradise of joy is an expression of what the divine stands for. This divine principle is therefore not only in man, it was originally also around him. So if a person lives deeply from within, from his center, connected to it, he can also find a paradise outside and preserve it. This paradisical potential in man includes joy of life. The opposite of this joy of life would be fear. Fear makes me narrow-minded and restricts my options in life. Out of fear of making mistakes, I may end up living my life to the fullest. My life will wither away. I may be correct, but not alive and wide. Jesus lifted up people who were crooked, perhaps crooked in themselves, and brought them out of the narrow world. In doing so, he literally gave them a new perspective. He lifted them up, enabling them to look forward again and have a future. Similarly, St. Paul reminds the members of the congregation, "Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? God's temple is holy, and you are that temple." For Paul, this sanctuary was a temple, a place where God is present. This is also what is meant by the image of paradise. Where God is present, man is healed. Or conversely, where man is healed, God is present. And where a person is whole, he eludes ordinariness. He remains a mystery, an image of the divine. For heaven, the divine paradise, is within man, in his center. As I am convinced of the law of resonance, I believe that it is contagious when someone carries real joy, peace, love, and so on within themselves, when they are whole. This art of consciously looking at the inside and out together can also be called contemplation. I found an excerpt in the text of the Upanishads that, in my view, expresses something very similar about the inner self. It is entitled "The Immortal Self." Here in this Brahman city is a house, a small lotus flower inside. It is a small room. What is in it, one should explore. One should truly seek to know. Truly, as vast as the universe is, so vast is this room inside the heart. In it are both heaven and earth, both fire and wind, both sun and moon, lightning and stars, and what one possesses here below, and what one does not possess, all of this is contained within it. This in man does not age with age. It is not killed by murder. This is the true Brahman city, in which all desires are contained. That is the self, sinless from age, sinless, free from age, free from death, and free from suffering, without hunger and without thirst. This text reminded me of the text of an early Christian theologian of the Syrian church, Ephraim the Syrian. It says, "The heart is the dwelling place of God. He who is incomprehensible to all understanding enters the heart and dwells there. He who is hidden from the fiery-eyed hosts is acquired in the heart. The earth cannot bear his foot, but the pure heart bears him within itself. The firmament is not enough for his footprint, but the heart is his harbor. All creatures are unable to embrace the boundless one, but the smallest heart that seeks him comprehends him within itself. God chooses the small space in his dwelling place in man, and man becomes the temple of God in which he dwells." I would now like to move on to another very important area that is probably of great significance not only in Austria, music. I would say music is a royal spiritual path. I believe that no other language connects people as much as music. A music psychologist has found a remarkable formulation about the connection between music and religion. He says, "In the music that sounds, in being moved by music, something can be experienced that is not of this world, something that gives us a glimpse of a better world. In other words, music opens up a form of transcendence to listeners. Perhaps music is the only adequate way to express the great mystery anyway. A patient who was very connected to music himself, once expressed his view that great composers such as Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, and others were above all listeners who wrote down what they heard from another world, because such great and magnificent works cannot occur to anyone. Another appropriate language would be silence, but a silence of wisdom. But in order to communicate to something to another, we need a form of expression. And especially when we have experienced something deeply inward, when we are deeply touched, words usually lag behind what we have experienced. There is far too great a risk of being misunderstood. A violin maker from Germany who knows the spiritual meaning of music tries to make musicians realize the treatness of their talent. He writes, "In music, you make audible a language of heaven that is given to us, so that we are able to endure the world and love it despite all adversities. It lifts our hearts. As a musician, you must understand the meaning of your calling. You are not a performer of your skills, but a servant. You are allowed to bless people. Do not allow your fears to rob you of this authority. If you do not take risks, you do not forgive yourself for your mistakes. You take away the promise and power of your calling. You are not led onto the stage to showcase your skills, but because God wants to speak through the voice of your sound. You are called to be an instrument." In preparation for this speech, I received some pointers to guide me. These included the highlights in the area of religion and spirituality for Austrians. I considered whether I should talk about Christmas customs or Easter. But then I remembered that there is something that still means a lot to many Austrians: weddings. So for my last point, I would tell something about love. Love is the more excellent spiritual path. When people decide to get married in church, they usually choose a very special text from the Bible. For this reason, I would like to mention love as my final point and read a text for you that describes what is important and why it is important. The text is entitled "The High Song of Love." "Strive for the greater gifts, and I will show you a still more excellent way. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I have become a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and have all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. And if I give away all my possessions to feed the poor, and if I surrender my body to be burned, but have no love, it profits me nothing. Love is patient, love is kind. Love does not envy, love does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs, it does not rejoice in injustice, but rejoices in the truth. It bears everything, it believes everything, it hopes everything, it endures everything. Love never passes away. But whether there are prophecies, they will be done away. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it will be done away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when the perfect comes, the partial will be done away. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I judged like a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For we now see by means of a mirror, indistinctly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I will recognize as I too have been recognized. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. I believe that a truly loving person is also a person of peace, but also of joy. This probably has to do with the fact that a person who is flooded with real love realizes what St. Paul calls the fruit of the Spirit. He mentions other fruits of the Spirit besides love. You could also say that you can recognize a spiritual person by these qualities. Besides love, you could love, agape, the Greek word, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and self-control. In the Buddhist Metta Sutta, I also find qualities of the Spirit that are identical to the idea of divine love. The text includes all beings. It says, "Just as a mother cares for her only child and even risks her own life to protect it, so do you, with an unlimited mind, protect all sentient beings and let your love flow throughout the world, upwards and downwards and in all directions, whether standing, walking, sitting, or lying down. Whenever you're awake, strive for this attitude." Thank you very much for your attention.
We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Gottfried Prinz for sharing your wisdom with all of us this morning. Now, may we invite Professor Sri Kantamurthy, Vice Chancellor Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence, to extend our token of gratitude and appreciation to Mr. Gottfried Prinz. Now we shall have a short break and reconvene for Satya Darpan.
श्रीरामचरणं 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 भजे सत्य साई राम चरणं भजे सत्य साई राम चरणं भजे सत्य साई राम चरणं भजे श्री राम चरणं श्री राम चरणं श्री राम चरणं भजे चरणं श्रीराम चरणं श्रीराम चरणं भजे श्रीराम चरणं श्रीराम चरणं श्रीराम चरणं भजे वैदेही रामं वैकुण्ठधामं भूपाल चूडामणि भूपाल चूडामणि आत्माभिराम प्रभु साई राम आत्माभिराम प्रभु साई राम श्री राम चरणं भजे श्री राम चरणं सत्य साई राम चरणं भजे 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 श्री राम चरणं श्री राम चरणं श्रीराम चरणं भजे
देवी भवानी जगत जननी देवी भवानी जगत जननी देवी भवानी जगत जननी देवी भवानी जगत जननी मंदहासिनी आनंददायिनी मंदहासिनी आनंददायिनी मंदहासिनी आनंददायिनी
हे नंदलाला हे ब्रजबाला हे नंदलाला हे ब्रजबाला हे नंदलाला हे ब्रजबाला हे नंदलाला हे ब्रजबाला माखन चोरा यशोदा के बाला 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 वृंदावन के गोकुल बाला वृंदावन के गोकुल बाला वृंदावन के गोकुल बाला वृंदावन के गोकुल बाला दया करो है साईं नंदलाला 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 माखन चोरा यशोदा के बाला 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 हे नंदलाला हे ब्रजबाला हे नंदलाला हे ब्रजबाला माखन चोरा यशोदा के बाला माखन चोरा यशोदा के बाला वृंदावन के गोकुल बाला वृंदावन के गोकुल बाला दया करो है साईं नंदलाला दया करो है साईं नंदलाला माखन चोरा यशोदा के बाला 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 हे नंदलाला हे ब्रजबाला
दीनानाथा साई गुरुनाथा साई गुरुनाथा दीनानाथा साई गुरुनाथा साई गुरुनाथा प्रेम स्वरूपा शांति प्रदाता प्रेम स्वरूपा शांति प्रदाता प्रेम स्वरूपा शांति प्रदाता प्रेम स्वरूपा शांति प्रदाता दीनानाथा साई गुरुनाथा साई गुरुनाथा जय जय गुरुदेवा सच्चिदानंदा जय जय गुरुदेवा सच्चिदानंदा जय जय गुरुदेवा सच्चिदानंदा
Om Shri Sai Ram, offering our collective salutations at the lotus feet of our Master, Sadguru Sri Madhusudan Sai, revered elders, devotees from across the globe, staff and students, a very good morning and welcome to Satya Darpan. Yesterday, Sadguru expounded on the word Astitaha, which is reiterated throughout the 12th chapter and has a profound meaning. Sadguru explained it as the one who is established in the self. For him, all three states of Samadhi, Savikalpa, Nirvikalpa and Sahaja, are simply recognized as natural patterns of behavior. Such a realized one transcends acceptance and rejection, remains untouched by ashrama dharmas, and is unaffected by action or inaction. While elucidating on the 7th shloka, Achintya Chintya Manopi, Chintarupam Bhajantyasau, Tyaktva Tadbhavam Tasmat, Evameva Aham Astitaha, Sadguru explained that which is beyond thought, when attempted to be grasped by the mind, becomes unnatural to thought. Therefore, having renounced even such contemplation, the wise abide naturally in the self. He further revealed that true joy is not an emotion, but the absence of sorrow, an absolute steady state of inner peace. Emphasizing that divinity must be experienced as tattvam or the essence, rather than compared through varying approaches of different avatars, Sadguru concluded the chapter by saying, the gap between two thoughts and the silence between two sounds, that is God, and we must all strive to experience that. We now pray to Sadguru to bless us with the explanation of chapter 13 of the Ashtavakra Gita.
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधि तमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै शांति शांति शांति।
The last chapter concluded with this profound idea that one who has overcome this idea of doing this, doing that, achieving this, achieving that, and now to live like in the state of absolute non-doership, non-enjoyership is actually the real fulfillment in life. People think fulfillment is when you achieve something in life, you feel fulfilled. I've achieved some name or position or power or wealth or relations. Then we feel we have found some fulfillment. The other way of looking at life is when we don't achieve any of these things, then we feel unfulfilled. Unfulfilled in our relations, our pursuits, our ambitions, our works. In so many ways, we feel incomplete and unfulfilled. But Janaka says that the one who has gone over and beyond this idea of doing, evameva kritam yena sakritartho, he becomes truly fulfilled. Without doing, he becomes fulfilled. And then he says, the one whose nature becomes like this, evameva swabhavaha. Swabhava means it is his natural disposition to be like that. If things happen, so be it. If things don't happen, so be it. It does not mean that he becomes inactive. He is no more the doer. He is no more the desirer of doing and enjoying. That's all is the difference. As somebody said, I read Ashtavakra, I feel, why should we do anything at all? After all, everything is to be treated as a magic show or a movie or a drama or a dream. Nothing solid is going to stay at the end of it all. It's all going to be vaporizing it. So what's the point? But that's not the disposition of a jnani. That's the disposition of the ajnani who says, I do not want to engage in the world, I do not want to act, I do not want to work, I do not want to contribute, because anyway at the end of it all, this is not going to matter. Jnani, nevertheless, knowing that all this is not going to matter at the end, yet engages and does what comes his way. A magician who knows this is a magic show, but he is born to be a magician, that's what he can do. So he does his magic and goes about doing whatever comes out of it. So his approach to life is very different. The difference between a worldly and a spiritual person is the change of attitude, the difference of attitude, that's all it is. Everything else may be the same, but the attitude with which they look at things, they do their work, or they even think or speak, is totally different. They absolutely feel no doership and enjoyership, and that's why they are fulfilled. Because doership will bring enjoyership. Good enjoyment or bad enjoyment, both will come from the kind of work done. So this whole idea of doing this, including doing rituals and doing pilgrimages and doing so many other sankalpas for so many things, that also is something that is to be abandoned at the end. As if it needs to be done, it will be done. That's about it. You don't become the initiator of it. You are sarvarambha parityagi. You are not the initiator of anything. What comes by virtue of your fate or your destiny or divine will, that is fine. Beyond that, we do not think. That is the nature of the ultimate jnani who is fulfilled and established, is the conclusion of the last chapter, which Janaka is telling, continuing to tell even in the 13th chapter. He continues to say, Janaka uvacha akinchana bhavam swasthyam kaupi natvepi durlabham tyaga dane vihayasmat ahamase yatha sukham. Continues in similar thoughts, because this is just to help us deliberate on these ideas for a little longer time so that we are able to absorb some bit of it. So Janaka says, akinchana bhavam swasthyam. This akinchana means nothing exists, nothing matters, nothing touches me. I possess nothing, I own nothing, I belong to nobody and no place. That absolute akinchana bhavam. This akinchana is the idea of non-possessiveness, which comes with non-ego, non-doership, non-enjoyership, all those things. So to become that and stay in your original state, swasthyam. Swasthya generally in common parlance means health. We say, are you healthy? Are you in the state of swasthya? But the meaning of swasthya is much deeper. Swastha is the swasthya. Swa means self, stha means the one who stays in the self. So the one who is abiding in the self is truly healthy. Now imagine the definition of health. Even WHO is not recognizing the spiritual side of the health. At best they go to the physical, mental, emotional, social well-being of the people. But spiritual well-being is what our scriptures define health to be. Swasthya. The one who is abiding in the self. Such a person is truly healthy. He has no vikaras, no problems, no anxiety, no depression, no excitement, therefore no disease. This kind of state of akinchana state and the state of swasthya, the true health which is in abiding in the self, kaupinatvepi durlabham. It is difficult to attain even by those who are only wearing a loin cloth. It means those mendicants, renunciates, monks and sadhus who think that they are spiritual because they are wearing only bare minimum clothing and living a very austere life, a difficult life. Even to them, this state is difficult to attain. As I said yesterday, it's very easy to make external changes. Go and shave off your head, or grow a beard, or wear a loin cloth, or wear ochre robes, or put on malas and put vibhuti or bhasma everywhere. Live out of people's charity or have no home. All these are seemingly difficult. For a worldly person, this self is very difficult. He says, how can somebody live like that? But these people are capable of it. But have they attained this ultimate state of being established in the self despite having taken up so many austerities? Janaka says it is very rare, that even amongst those who are so-called mendicants, renunciates and monks, they are also not established in the self. And I had a good glimpse of it. When I had been to Rishikesh some years ago, all the sadhus and monks and mahatmas were invited for a lunch as a annadanam and then some clothes and all that, whatever. So many of them were sitting. But you feel the presence of a Jnani. When you are in the presence of Jnani, even if he does not speak a word, you can feel that aura, that energy. And you keep walking amongst these many people there, which I did. I didn't feel it. Though for a common man who is a householder, suddenly if somebody walks in with a knocker robe and mala and all that jata, juta and all that, they will get very, sometimes not just enamored by the whole thing. But these external changes does not guarantee that you can get established in the self. It may be the beginning of the process, but this is not the end of the process. So Janaka is telling, that feeling of I possess nothing, even though he is the king of that place of Mithila, and the father of 4 daughters and husband to wife and king to the subject, so many things he is at that time. Yet he says, I don't feel that I possess any of these things. I am free from all these possessions and relations and whatever comes with it. And swasthya, I am completely established in the self. And this, I know, is a state which is rare to come by, even for those ascetics, monks who do not have to rule a kingdom, who do not have wife and children, who do not have subjects to look after. For them also, it is very difficult for them to even attain this state. Durlabham. Tyaga dane vihaya asmat aham ase yatha sukham. What have I achieved? How I have achieved this? Tyaga, dana, all these different things that we have been told that this is the way you will attain the self. Do more tyaga, do more dana. I am not saying from the point of view of the scriptures, yes, it is true. Tyage naike amrutatvam manushu. From sacrifice alone we attain immortality. But sacrifice of what? Not the external sacrifices of clothes or giving away all your properties and wealth in charity and then tying a loincloth around your waist and then thinking that you will somehow attain the state of self. No, that doesn't. He's basically here when he says tyaga and dana, he's talking about external activities of spiritual nature, which we call as spiritual nature. That we give up some of those luxuries of life or comforts and convenience in the name of sacrifice, tyaga, or dana as charity. But have we really given up the inner desires of such things? Have we given up complete attachment to such things? The mental association with such things. If we haven't done, then there is not much that is going to be achieved out of these external changes. This is the essence. So Janaka says, I have gone beyond all these ideas that only if I do this much tyaga externally, will I attain this state. Or when I do this much of charity externally, I will attain this state. That is not anymore with me. I have vihaya asmat. I have given up that idea. See, if everybody is supposed to attain God by charity, then those who give more money, they should attain God faster. Is that the way it works? It doesn't work that way. That's what he's saying. I went to one famous temple in South India. You all know which temple is that. The more money you give, the closer you get to God. But do you really get closer to God, or you just get closer to the priest and the idol? You only get closer to probably the Garbhagriha, maybe closer to the priest who is standing over there, maybe closer to the idol. But have you become closer to God is the question. These external activities, do they really take you close to your divinity? I don't know. When I was standing there, it so happened, I think I mentioned this some time back. So our people here said, we must make an arrangement, you must go and pray and whatever, offer gratitude. I told I have to visit because before starting our medical school, at some point in time, I was sitting in my room and meditating, and I was worrying because at that point in time, I was also not so mature as this, and the medical college was a big deal. And a lot of people advised me don't do that, including the local leaders in Karnataka. They said, don't even venture into that. You don't even know what you are getting into. Run small schools, small hospital, fine. Getting into this commitment of a medical school. See, hospital I can shut down if I don't have the capacity to run. I can shut down a school also, they will find another school where they can go get admission. But if I shut down a medical college halfway through, where will the students go? Will another medical college give them admission halfway through? We've seen how many children returned from Ukraine after the war. Did they get admission easily in any other medical college halfway through their studies? No, because this is a blocked seat. You cannot just replace it suddenly. So it is a huge risk, they said, you are taking. I said, and also we are giving them free seats, poor children will join. Halfway through, I can't start charging them. Even if we charge them, will they be able to pay? So what is the point? So like that, people were scaring me. Sometimes, like Rama got into self-doubt about Ravana's war. He thought that he can't fight this war because Ravana is too powerful. He has too many things on his side. And I am here with bears, monkeys, squirrels and animals to fight with those heavy demons. And he did not even have a chariot to, come up to the level of Ravana and fight. He was on foot, whereas Ravana has a huge chariot. So he got into some kind of self-doubt whether this war is going to be good or whether I'll win or not, like that. At that time, Agastya comes and gives him Aditya Hrudayam Stotram. Tells Rama, have courage and chant this Aditya Hrudayam, which is the praise of sun god. And it will give you the necessary mental courage to fight this war. And so Sri Rama is taught Aditya Hrudayam by Agastya, and Rama chants that Aditya Hrudayam, regains his composure, strength and courage to fight the war. So I was in one such situation at that time. And this was just, we were coming out of COVID. So it was still, the scars of COVID were still there. And we had not overcome all of the setbacks that we faced during those days. So I was sitting in my room and then I was praying just like that, not any particular deity, but of all the things, Tirupati Balaji appeared, of all the people. And then he had a shining jewel on his chest, very bright, like a light, and it was shimmering. And then I was just it's all in my mind, so don't go and write it off, this happened physically. It is a mental vision. I was sitting there, then he removed that from his chest, that light in his hand, and he gave it to me, like as if the light he passed it on to me. All this is having in the mind, right? Don't think that physically he put it in my hand. Then I asked, what exactly is the meaning? He said, this is Kaustuva money, that he wears a money. And that money is very powerful. It brings prosperity, wealth, progress, success and all these things. So he tells, see, I am giving it to you, don't worry, all this will happen as and when it needs to happen. That courage and confidence he gave. Now because he made, in a way, efforts to come and console or give courage, so naturally I felt I must go to Tirupati and offer my prayers and gratitude for this courage that you have given, like Agastya coming to Rama. You came and told that it will be okay, it will happen. So I went up to Tirupati and we had a good darshan and all that and came back. Then I told, once the medical college and all this gets established, I'll come again. But then somehow it didn't happen. I was busy with so many things, and going to Tirupati is not so straight. If you go and like an ordinary devotee, you have to stand for hours and hours of, and I cannot afford that at this time. So anyway, some of our people said, let's go. We have made some arrangements and all. So it seems that somebody who was a prominent person who was supposed to come and take us so that you can cut through the crowds and go faster. Yeah, the other option is give a huge hefty donation and then you can also cut through the crowd and go faster. That is not our way. I can't do also. So we thought, okay, with this somebody who is VVVVIP category, he'll take us. But on that morning, he didn't turn up for some reason. He had to go somewhere else, and now I am left with standing there with some 2-3 people. Of course, we tried. Just before me, I saw there are families who are my devotees. They were standing in front of me in the queue because they had all paid their way to the darshan. What an embarrassment that must be, right? They are my devotees. They are coming and touching my feet on this side, but nevertheless, they are standing ahead of me in the queue to have darshan. And I was thinking it happens because they pay. Pay 1 crore of rupees, you will get the first darshan in the morning or some stuff like that. So they had paid and they got ahead of me. Anyways, I stood quietly. 2-3 families more joined after that, one by one, those who had paid and all that. And they all went inside in that dark little space, Everybody is jostling with each other to just get ahead and sit right in front of the altar, right in front of that garbhood, because you are allowed access till there. But I could not go that far because there were 3 families with so many members in them, at least 30 people. So they all sat, then came behind, and I was sitting like maybe 2 doors away from the god. And sitting down because there is no chair and nothing is allowed. So just sitting down like anybody else. But I said, that's fine because we have come to see him, not for our own sake. But then we sat there. Of course, those who were hosting me, they felt a little sad that they could not do more than this. But I was sitting there listening. Then after some time, you hear the shouts of those devotees who are far behind, who come in queues, just have a glimpse and then they are told, move on, you cannot stand here. So I was just sitting, watching that seva. You can watch for 45 minutes or so in the morning. That is, they'll decorate the god, they'll do arati, they'll do the first abhisheka, some rituals. I was sitting there and thinking that mentally I was talking to him, saying that, there are so many people behind me, there are so people ahead of me. Whom are you with? They are all who are sitting in front by paying, or those who cannot pay, they have stood for hours in the queue or maybe climbed the hill on their own. They are poor people. So what is really happening? And then he told me in my mind, do you think I am with these people sitting in front of me who pay to get closer to me? No, I am with those people who wait and wait and wait hours to be with me. I am with them. I am not with these. Not that they have any less devotion. It is just a way to say, please don't misunderstand. He just said that I am with those who are standing in queue for hours, whole night, starving, waiting. And I am with them. This is what he told me. Of course, philosophically it sounds very good, but practically you see these people get what they get, those people get what they get. That's about it. So the idea is that are these external things going to take us close to our divinity? Running away from family, giving up work, not contributing, not participating, and also giving up clothing and roaming around naked or wearing a coping cloth. Is that going to make us get established in the self is the question. May not be, may or may not. May only if inside also you have become empty, not just on the outside. May not if you have only done it on the outside and nothing happened on the inside. So it's not going to help. That's why I say you don't have to change anything over here. You just have to change your attitude towards life. You have to change your thinking, your disposition. That's all you have to change. What you wear is not my problem. What you eat is not my problem. What you do is not my problem. How you do is my problem. How you think is my problem. How you say and feel is the problem. That is the crux of the matter. But that is the difficult part. So people avoid that difficult thing, and easy ones they do and somehow want to satisfy themselves and somehow console themselves and feel good that I have done so many great things. I've been very spiritual. I've given up this, that this list is there. But are they really becoming established in the self by just doing these external changes? Not necessarily. So maybe Janaka, who was with rishis for so long, did so many yajna, yagas, dana, punya, all these years. I believe when this Ashtavakra Gita started, he was already doing a yajnam for 12 years continuously. So you can only imagine. 10 days if you do yajnam, you can imagine what it takes over here. 12 years continuously is doing yajnam. So how much money you would have spent, how much time, energy, resources, how many people you would have invited, how much work you would have done. Did that lead him to the realization of the self? No. What led him to the realization of the self? One word of wisdom from a Jnani. In his company he changed. Like a magnet magnetizes a piece of iron, he got magnetized in the presence of Ashtavakra. So this is what is this tyaga, dana. It doesn't mean that you stop doing all these things. As long as you're doing it the right attitude, it is fine. Not for show off. As the man who gives a fan to the temple, and then when the baby is crying in heat, the mother says, please somebody switch on the fan because the baby is feeling heat. And somebody goes to switch it on, and this donor man jumps, says, don't switch it on because my name is written on the fan. If it starts rotating, nobody can read my name. Such tyaga will it lead to moksha? Such dana will it lead to moksha? I've seen people, their donation will be this much, the name boards will be so big. So many people in the initial days used to come. They say, we will do this, you put up this on our name. That. I used to tell, no. In fact, when the corporates also said, they said, we have donated, I said, I don't want to use the word donated. Contributed, I will allow. Contribution, everybody can make. Everybody is supposed to make contribution. Don't have the ego that I have given something. What is yours in the first place to give away? That thinking should not come. So I did not allow that. Of course, but good people come, CSRs come, they say, no, it's a rule, we have to at least put a name and the logo there. I said, okay, that much we will allow. You have done it with good heart, we will take it. But that doesn't mean that somebody with a huge ego and comes and says, you know what, I'll give you this much, you should start worshipping me from today. We are not going to do that. I'm very clear. So this tyaga dana, which is done with this external, desires for appreciation, recognition, accolades, rewards, awards, this tyaga dana doesn't help us establish in the self. So that is what he's saying. So far I was thinking that the quantum of my dana or the size of magnitude of my tyaga will help me qualify for this realization. But now I realize it is not so. So tyaga dane vihaya, I have given up. Asmat ahamase, now I am established, I am in this state of swasthyam and yatha sukham. And therefore I am happy, I am in peace, I am in equanimity, I am well established. I thought I will also draw your attention to this word swasthya, which is, as I said, swa and stha. Swa means self, stha means the one who stays in the self. Grihastha, the one who is staying in the house is grihastha. Vanaprastha, the one who is staying in the forest is vanaprastha. Like that, swasthya, the one who is staying in the self. It means he's in touch with his divinity, he is established there. Our Ayurveda defines health in a very beautiful shloka. It comes from Sushruta Samhita. Sushruta was one of those pioneers in medicine from India who defined the principles of Ayurveda and how we have to treat the body and how body and the 5 elements are connected. Therefore, we must take care of these 5 elements within our body and whatever has originated from them to make our body healthy. But he did not just talk about sickness and cure of the body. He talked about the mind and the senses. He did not just focus on the physicality of the ailment, but he saw the underlying other causes, what we call as psychosomatic diseases today. Many times our doctors, especially in psychology department, they tell patients come, they have no real pain. They have imagined the pain and they keep suffering with that. So it is just not possible how to correct that. It is not possible because that is a mental issue, it is not a physical issue, but they are experiencing physical pain somehow. But is there a real reason for it? I mean, they got fractured or they got some hurt or they got a wound or disease. I understand you have a physical pain, but there are no symptoms of anything. But still they feel tremendous pain in the leg, in the shoulder, in the neck, back, headache. They keep complaining. But there is no real reason. You do CT, MRI, anything and everything, nothing, no physical problem. Because their minds are not corrected. Their mind and senses are not in control or in peace. That is the reason why suffer so much of pain. And that also we have to treat. So slowly we have to do that. So swasthya, our swasthya recognizes mind and senses also. I remember a very nice story from Bhagavan. It was in Trai when we were sitting as students. He used to tell long stories. Every day 2.5 hours used to spend. So in that one story he told that long back when in Puttaparthi, and I think he was maybe in Penukonda, new rail line was laid and trains started plying. And the signal for the women folk of the village to wake up was the siren of the engine of the train which would pass. So when that siren comes, they will all wake up and go to fetch water from the well. And so that was like their regular routine. So it so happened that one day such women went with their pots on their head to fetch water from the well when the siren of the engine was, the horn of the engine was blowing. And that point it was very cold, it seems, that it was a winter time and they would go at 4 o'clock in the morning. So when they went there, one of the ladies who wanted to fetch the water, when you wake up, you stretch out like your arms, you stretch it out like your body. So she tried to stretch herself and her hands got stuck above her head. And she could not do anything about it, that just got stuck in that moment of whatever shock, it froze like that. And they were not sure how to handle it because she could never bring her hands down again to the normal position. So they took her to many Vaidyas, doctors, this, that and everything, but nothing changed. Her hands were always stuck above her head, it seems. So then they brought him to Swami, who was becoming very famous for curing people of all kinds of illnesses, including who are possessed by spirits and all that. They were all, because in villages all this is very common. So they would bring all of them to anybody who is a little bit of a yogi. So since Swami in the younger days became very famous that he could cure people of some of these funny diseases which nobody had cure for. So they brought her to him. Now he realized that this is no disease at all. It is just that somehow her hands have got locked, frozen, and she cannot bring it down, and mentally she is now resigned to this idea that her hands are gone forever. This is how she is going to live the rest of her life. So what he did, he told you, bring her tomorrow, I will tell you, I will do something about it. So when the next day they bring her, he gathers a lot of men in a room, full of men. And then there is a small table that is kept, and he puts this lady with the help of others on top of the table. So she is like standing alone with her hands up in a gathering of all men, no women in the room. Then Bhagavan, what he did, he called to her sari and tried to pull it. In that shock, she brought her hands down and caught her sari. And her disease was cured. Mental. So this is how he told that he cured that lady of her frozen hands. So idea is that our mind is the beginning of all the issues. And the mind, we imagine something, that's it. After that, you cannot do anything about it. Like those story of those girls I told of New York who were painters. And one of them thought, if the last leaf falls, I am going to die. It's a O. Henry story. That the last leaf, it's called. I'm going to die. She had somehow developed that. She had pneumonia and she thought she's going to die the day the last leaf from the tree outside my window falls. It was cold winter season and very, very breezy. All leaves one by one started falling because it's winter season. But one leaf never fell. It stayed. And that gave her hope and she recovered from her illness and became normal. But then she realized there was an old man, a painter, who used to live downstairs. He passed away. And he passed away because he came to know about this lady, that she is so attached to that leaf that if all the leaves fall, she thinks she is going to die. So that night he stayed up in the rain, in the cold, and painted a leaf on the wall. And that leaf, she thought is a real leaf. And next morning when she woke up and saw that even after a stormy night, the leaf is still there, she believed that she's not going to die. And so she didn't die. But the man died of pneumonia because he caught cold in the night. He was an old man. But that was his masterpiece. That's how the story ends, the O. Henry story. Idea is that many things, many times it's mental for us. Physical body reflects our mental makeup. So happy demeanor, happy mind, happy disposition is very important in life. So what is the definition of health in our Ayurveda? It says, samadosha, samagnischa, samadhatu, malakriyaha, prasannatmendriya manah, swastha ityabhidhiyate. It's not in the book. I picked this up because recently when we opened the medical college, only I got to know about this definition. This book and its contents were spoken before the medical college opening. So this sloka doesn't exist in the book. What does it say? Samadoshaha. We are told to have three kinds of dosha or faults. What are these? One is vata, pitta and kapha, they call in Ayurvedic term. Vata means excess air in the body. Because we are made of 5 elements, right? Air, water, earth, sky, space. Excess water is vata, which causes swelling and which causes a lot of gastric troubles and other things. So excess air. Second is pitta, excess fire, heat in the body, temperature. A lot of people suffer through tremendous heat in the body. That is the pitta. And third is kapha. Kapha is excess water in the body. So these three elements, when they are not in balance, it causes a lot of trouble in our body. The water content of the body and how it is processed. The fire content, that is the heat and temperature in the body, it means all the metabolic activities. And the air content in the body, the air that we breathe and how that oxygen circulates within the body. All three are reasons why we fall sick if they are not in proper balance. So the moment you go to an Ayurvedic doctor, he'll catch hold of your wrist, he'll check the nadi, and somehow they know by the pulse that they touch and feel which one of these is in imbalance. And then they will say, we'll have to correct this imbalance. Means you cannot eat food that cause more gas to you because you are having excessive gas, bloating and other issues. Then similarly, if there is no proper digestion, you have constipation and other issues. So they will tell you these kind of foods you have to avoid. So our original medicine system was not a medicine-based system. It was food-based system. They used to give some medicine, of course, some kind of extracts from plants which helped us to improve the situation. But largely they gave us advice only on our diet. Ahara and Patya it is called. Ahara is the diet part of it, Patya is the medicine part of it. So they did give us some medicines, but more importantly they gave us Ahara advice, dietary advice, nutrition advice. Can you believe in modern medicine like MBBS, there is no subject called nutrition. There is no advice taught also to the students of medicine how to advise patients about how to change their diet and improve their health. It is not there at all. Whereas Ayurveda was based only on diet. The entire thing was inside out. Our whole thing is outside in the Western medicine. Ayurveda found what is going on inside you. And they didn't stop at that. These three faults of water, air and fire, that is temperature in you, could be one way. What are the other things? Sama Agnihi. Agni means that digestive fire in you. That also has to be good. If fire of digestion is burning, then food gets inside, it turns into energy. Otherwise, it remains undigested and becomes poison in your body. When I was small, my grandmother used to say, don't have bath soon after food. So I used to ask why. She said, Anta vishamaipotundi, she used to say. It will become poison, all that you have eaten. I used to think, grandmother and your funny theories. How can food become poison? I have not eaten poison, I have eaten food. She would say, no, it will turn into poison. She did not know the logic behind. No, this is not good. At least wait for 20-30 minutes before you go for bath. Don't go for bath immediately. But later when you study biology and a little bit of Ayurveda, you realize what happens when you eat food. All your energy is now focused, all the oxygen is going towards your stomach to digest the food, right? Because all the temperature is needed in the stomach to break the food down and further digest it. All the digestive juices have to be secreted, and all this has to happen in a quick time. If it doesn't happen at that right time, it will lead to other issues, constipation and things, and even food poisoning, because it is undigested food. So when you do not do anything after eating food, you have to be quiet for some time. You should not be doing too many things, because all your body's oxygen and energy is going towards your stomach to make the digestion happen. It is the load that the body is carrying right now. Now when you have bath, what happens? The temperature gets redistributed across your peripherals, like your skin. You take a hot water bath or cold water bath, whichever way. Your skin is now activated. So your circulation, blood circulation is now moving towards your skin. That is why we need to have bath, because it improves the blood circulation around the whole body. Your skin becomes better. It's important for skin to grow and deal with diseases. So if you have bath soon after food, the energy that is needed, the oxygen and circulation that is needed for your stomach is now getting redistributed or deviated to your skin and the muscles and everything else that benefits from the bath. So food remains undigested then. And then that undigested food creates trouble, because it has to digest in certain time. Krishna says very clearly, nothing should be eaten beyond the yam. Yam is a 3-hour period. Because if crosses that, then it becomes tamasic food. Within the 3 hours of cooking, one should eat the food. That is a sattvic food. He has defined that. So here is very clear. Our Ayurveda is very clear. That Agni, the stomach's fire, which to digest, what you call Jatara Agni. Wow, we chant, no? What is that? Brahmarpadam Brahmaved, that is after that, Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva. Vaishwanara means fire. Another name for fire is Vaishwanara. Vaishwa means that which is everywhere. In the Nara, when it is digestive fire. So Krishna says, I am the digestive fire, Vaishwanara. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrita. I am in their bodies, in all pranis, not just humans, birds, bees, animals, insects. I am only that fire of digestion. Whatever Chaturvidham, food that we eat 4 kinds, he digests. So he is the energy. So then digestive fires are not strong. We are not able to digest food. That leads to diseases. Undigested food is poison. That's what my grandmother meant. And I kept that in mind. So here also, generally I don't have food unless we have had bath. But suppose we are elsewhere, we have to eat and then we have to get ready for a program or something. Then also we need to maintain the gap till the food. Generally carbs take 2 to 3 hours to get digested. Very complex carbs will take 5 to 6 hours. And if you're eating, the animal products take even longer because they're very complex. Vegetables will take probably maximum an hour. Fruits take 20 to 30 minutes, that's about it. So you have to accordingly plan your bath. Suppose you have eaten fruits, 15-20 minutes later if you go for bath, no problem. If you have eaten simple carbs, at least 2 to 3 hours you have to give gap. Or vegetables you've eaten at least 1 hour, 2 to 3 hours for normal carbs and proteins. Proteins which are highly complex and carbs which are highly complex, including animal products, 6 hours. That's what it takes for us, our food to completely go out of the stomach and get absorbed in the intestines. Till then you should not have bath. So there are rules like that. That is why first thing we wake up and have bath. Activate all our body, our cells, our muscles, our nerves, our circulation. Because in the night, body has cooled down. It has slowed down everything. So if you eat too late in the night and then sleep off, body's natural tendency is to cool down. It is shutting down the system for rest. But people eat at 10:30, 11, 12 in the night. And then they sleep off. And the body is suffering because it wants to rest. It does not want to work. It is circadian rhythm, the sun and the body and metabolism are connected. But when you eat in the dark, that is night time after sunset, and eat too late into the night and then you sleep off after that, all these lifestyle diseases are coming from there. All these indigestion that people are suffering, all the sleeplessness, all the other lifestyle related diabetes and cancers and other things, it's all because of not having food correctly. If you correct having food, everything else will get resolved on its own. So Ayurveda recognized, because Annam is the body. It says very clearly, our Upanishads say, right? Annat Purushaha, we are made of food. So if we, what is our constituent element, food? If it's not correct, then how can we be correct? So it says correct your food and correct your eating habits. These ultra processed foods, these highly sugary drinks, these aerated drinks, and animal meat which is highly processed, all these are very, very harmful for the body. No, but we were eating all this. That time life was different. You were working also so hard that time. And our hunters were not like morning breakfast, then lunch, then three animals they'll keenly eat. No. They'll eat once in a week, like lions eat once in a week, that's it. Once they've eaten for a whole week, they don't eat at all because they don't feel hungry, that is, energy is enough. They don't keep hunting every day. That's not their job. They eat only when they're hungry. But we eat nevertheless, whether we are hungry or not, because we have got used to eating and love food being available so easily. We keep eating without being hungry, and that is leading to all these diabetes. We see so many patients, thousands of them, diabetes patients. Where is this diabetes coming from? Ultra processed food, refined carbs, and sedentary lifestyle. They are farmers only, but they are no more farming. They're just eating. Earlier they were farmers, they'll eat a mouthful of rice, they'll digest it. Because the body is working hard. Nowadays nobody works hard, sits in the chair. So that has become a huge issue. But nevertheless, we are desirous of eating, satisfying the tongue. But we are not willing to spend that energy. So it's all accumulating and leading to a lot of issues. That's the biggest. Obesity and related diseases in the world are increasing every day. Many countries who presented what they say, we have another kind of malnutrition issue. We have obesity in our countries. It's not lack of food, but that is the issue. So our idea is that everything is fast, instant, processed, quick. We don't have time to bring the vegetable from the market, cut, clean, cook, then eat. This is why it's happening. Plus we keep eating all the time, unnecessarily also. So keeping that in mind, that your digestive fire should be good. We also have rules how much you should eat, how many times. I tell below 30 or 25, eat 4 times, no problem. Because your body is growing, you can digest, you can use it for your studies, sports. 25 to 50, eat 3 times maximum. Because you still need energy, you are active, you are a grahastha, you are doing the jobs, this, that, so you need some energy. 50 to 75 years, eat only 2 times, morning and evening. Keep a gap of 7 to 8 hours. Because your body's digestive fires are becoming dull now. Age is catching up. You need lesser food, lesser activity. So 2 times you eat between 50 and 75 years. And keep a gap of 7 to 8 hours. It means if you eat in the morning, then eat only in the evening. And not late in the night, because after night, as I said, food needs all the energy, but body needs to rest. So it is like contradictory, it will ruin the body. And then when you are above 75, just eat once. When the sun is up, eat then, midday. That's the best, because your digestive fibers are already weak. You cannot digest. You need at least 12 to 14 hours to go through the process of digestion. So only in the night, in the afternoon or noon. Don't eat rest of the. And when you are 100, you won't need to eat, I'm sure. There's nothing there. So the idea is that naturally now imagine how brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa is a withdrawal mechanism. And what is the first most attractive thing for us? Ahara. We all want to eat. So if you learn to withdraw from food, you are able to learn to withdraw from the mind and senses and its distractions. So our body itself is designed that you are slowly getting old and you are unable to digest food. So your intake should come down, and that should help you to also withdraw in your mind. Many old people say, Swami, I am not able to eat anything, I am not able to sleep. I say, that is how it is supposed to be at your age. You are not supposed to eat, you are not supposed to sleep like a baby. You are supposed to meditate. You are supposed to meditate most of the time and eat 1 time. That's enough. But they want to eat 4 times like they were eating when they were young and sleep 8 hours like they were sleeping when they were young. And then they think we have some disease. I told you, I have one disease. Old age is a disease, if you think that way. But it is not a disease. It is a natural plan, design of the nature to help you withdraw. But at the last fag end also you want to taste, touch, smell, touch, and enjoy. It is not right. So body is designed, our ashtama dharmas are designed very naturally, you can withdraw from the world. So why I am explaining this, our medicine is so spiritual in nature, understands how nature works. So sama dosha, sama agnischa, sama dhatu, it is, there are 7 types of constituting elements in the body. 7 things that compose or make our body. These are called dhatu, the basic elements, dhatu. And they also should be in good balance. And what are the 7 dhatus? We say dhatus are rasa, this is plasma, blood plasma, rakta, which is the blood, platelet, that is one is platelets and one is blood. Then mansa, which is the flesh, that is the muscles. Meda, which is the fat. Asthi, bone. Majja, marrow. And shukra, recreational, what you call genital fluids. Whether it is semen or ovary or eggs, whichever male or female. So these are the 7 types of things which make our body, with which we function. The plasma, the blood, the flesh, the fat, the bone, the marrow, and the seminal fluids. These are the things we must, which is what constitutes. If there is an imbalance in these 7 also, it leads to disease. You know that when white blood cells come down, your immunity is gone. So you have to, platelets come down during infections. So we give platelet infusions, blood infusions. Marrow, many people suffer with bone marrow disorders, cancers. That has to be replaced then. Similarly, bone diseases, arthritis and so many other degenerative ones are there. Knee replacement, all the time we keep doing. Similarly, diseases in the flesh, which is infection and wounds that cause rotting of the flesh, then that has to be corrected. Then fat-related diseases, excess fat also leads to diseases like atherosclerosis, blockage of arteries because of extra cholesterol. Or if you don't have enough fat, that also leads to diseases because you keep falling sick too often, you have no energy. So that balance. And then seminal fluids, of course, many people have suffered with infertility. A lot of people are unable to give birth because of infertility issues. So it's increasing day by day. It's all because of lifestyle. Stress, lifestyle, not having healthy habits. That's it. So these are the reasons. That's why all these 7 also have to be maintained. The plasma, the blood, the flesh, the fat, the bone, marrow, and the seminal fluids. All these have to be in balance. These are the physical aspects of health as per the Ayurveda. The next line of the shloka say, and the last part is malakriya. And your excretory or function should be very good. If body is not able to excrete, not able to remove the waste either from the urine or the feces, that also will lead to diseases. Everybody knows that. Kidney related issues, bladder related issues, that lead to so many diseases. Once the kidney function stops, the whole body shuts down because toxins build up and that is poison. So our body needs to remove whatever needs to be removed. Similarly, your stools and feces. That's why when children don't go to washroom for 2-3 days, I tell our teachers to observe. Because the children won't tell. But they'll be going through some issue that they won't tell. So I tell you have to observe why he is not gone for 3 days. Check what he is eating, what he is doing. That much care wardens and teachers have to take, like parents take that care. Parents don't the parents watch, this fellow is not going to toilet for the last 2 days. Something is wrong with his body. The baby may not know. That is why we check, when you do send the samples to lab, urine and fecal samples, that tells us your composition of the body. Forget about that. If you go in the ashram, you will see these monkeys are there. No, they keep eating cat feces. These cats keep eating monkey feces and all kinds of things. The dogs keep eating. Why they eat each other's feces? Because there are certain things that are useful to them which are not useful for that body. So there is a whole mechanism at work. Everything takes care of itself. But we are so careless as human beings, especially after the advent of modern medicine. We become even more careless. We think even if we fall sick, we will go to the doctor and get some medicine and we will get cured. But we don't want to change our habits. We don't mind falling sick, spending and then regaining the health, but we don't want to change our habits. Look at what we have done to ourselves. So these are the basic things. First line says, Samadoshas, Samagnisha, Samadhatu, Malakriyaha. Means all your doshas, water, air and fire should be good. Your digestive fire should be good. Then you should have 7 of these dhatus which make you the plasma, blood, flesh, fat, bone, marrow, and the seminal fluid, they should be in order, doing properly their functions. Then your excretory organs should be working well, because the removal of waste from the body is very important. Urine and feces. When this happens, you are physically fit. Then what else is required? The second shloka says, Prasannatmaindriya manaha swastha ityavidiyate. Your atma, mana and indriya, all three should be happy. Indriya should be happy means they are seeing the right things. So they are happy and satisfied. If you see wrong things, indriya become restless. Happiness is steady state. Yesterday we know true happiness is being in a steady state of existence, not fluctuating. Happiness doesn't mean you are excited. Excitement is not happiness. Happiness is the steady sukha, steady state. Sukhasana we say when we do pranayama or whatever yoga. In a comfortable state. What is the comfort? No fluctuations is comfort. So it says prasanna atma indriya manaha. Your spirit, the soul, the jivatma, the mind which is full of thoughts and emotions, and your indriyas, the sense organs, all these should be in a state of peace and happiness. Then what else happens? Then he says swastha. Then if you are in this kind of balanced state of your dhatu, agni, doshas, malakriya and atma indriya manaha, when all these are completely in good state, then only you are called as a healthy person. Now go by this definition, how many are healthy in this room, you check. Nobody is healthy. If not physically unhealthy, mentally they are unhealthy. Or they are not happy within themselves, something is bothering them, something is worries them, something is their desires or something they angers them. How are you healthy? So our scriptures don't recognize you as a healthy person by your blood test and lab tests. Unless your mind is also at peace, your organs are at peace, that is, none of this is suffering, all are in happy state. And within your spirit, you are joyful. Then only you are called as completely healthy. Imagine what a wonderful definition. Even the WHO or the medical books, nobody has this definition. This definition from Sushruta. That is when you should be healthy. That is why we recognize in our institution, you are not just the body, you are a mind also. Mind also has to be in good state, and not just the mind, your spirit. That inner feeling that you have, joyful feeling, that should be there in you. I am sure some new MBBS students have joined today. Can you stand up? How many of you are there? The new ones, just who joined today. That's it. Where are the boys? Okay, these people have joined. So you have got a good new opening discourse on what is real health. So your MBBS has been set, the new tone has been set. So if in our institution you are only going to learn Western medicine, your MBBS will not be complete. You have to also understand the Indian thought behind how health is looked at in a holistic way. Today holistic wellness and all have become buzzwords, but they don't mean really what it is, because it also has spiritual component to it, okay? That's why you have to study scriptures, because you will not be able to otherwise address the spiritual side of your patients. You have to understand how they think, how they feel. So not only psychology, not only physiology, anatomy, but also spirituology you have to study, which is what I am teaching. Okay, sit down. So the idea is that how amazing is our understanding of how human body, mind and spirit works. So why I define this, that because here uses the word swasthya. We are opening Sai Swasthya clinics everywhere. Now please get it right, it is Swasthya clinics. Some people are calling it Swasthya clinics, some people are calling Swastha clinics. It is Swasthya clinics, okay. The idea is wellness. We called it as wellness centers. We didn't call it as health centers or clinics or medical centers. We didn't call. On purpose, we have named those centers as wellness centers, where we can look after all these aspects, not just the physiological aspects, but your mental and spiritual aspects also can be looked after. So that is the idea of Swasthya. So Janaka says, I am happy and healthy, not just physically healthy, mentally healthy, but I am established in my spirit. I am joyful. I have no pain, because if joy is not there in your spirit, you are not healthy. That's the basic definition. Are you joyful? Yes, then you are healthy spiritually. He says, Yatha Sukham, I am joyful. I am peaceful. I am equanimous. Therefore, I am healthy. I am established in myself. So a doctor, when he looks at the patient, must look at all the aspects. See, physical aspects, of course, the treatments are done. Mental aspect, counseling is done, psychotherapy is done, and nice environment of the hospital. Nurses talk to them nicely, lovingly. Doctors treat them with like a family. That adds to the mental well-being for the patient. What about the spiritual well-being? The very environment in which the patients are. It's full of devotion. It's full of spiritual energy. And people treat patients as gods. I said, Rogi Narayano Harid here. And the patients who have some faith in some God, let us say in Jesus or Buddha or Nanak or Allah, I do not care. When they come here, they think their God whom they prayed to has responded by giving them free healthcare over here. How many people have told this? I prayed to Allah that my child should be delivered properly, I shouldn't have any complication, and I found this hospital, everything was taken care of, Allah has blessed me. What did you do? You have reinforced the spiritual health in that person. That is the idea of this hospital, how it is really addressing holistic health issue. No other hospital addresses that. At best, they'll address the physical part of it. They try to correct it through medication, surgeries and all. Maybe some diet and nutrition advice, but we have a huge dietetics department. Every day I get the khichdi from the hospital, what they are giving to the patients, to just taste and check and how does it do. It tastes quite good actually. You don't mind being sick for some time. The khichdi is quite tasty. Like that, you look at other aspects. Mental aspects are taken care. No worries here. They know the doctor is not going to cheat. The nurse is not going to fleece them. Nobody is after their money. Nobody is going to do harm to them. Do no harm is the first principle of medicine. That is what we first start with. No harm, physically, mentally, financial harm, social harm, no harm. No discrimination. They are accepted. Mental health, no worries, how to pay the bills, how much will be the bill, no cost, no worry. And then spiritual health, because their faith in their own God, whichever God they believed in, gets reinforced, and they become joyful, calm, they become established in that peaceful state. So our hospitals alone are addressing health holistically. And that now integrated medicine department also has come. And in the new block, we are putting up a whole department over there, which also will look into these aspects of nutrition and our Ayurvedic scientists, the rishis, and how they were doing. The only problem is that everybody says evidence-based. So now Ayurveda works, that we know. But how it works, we don't know. The chemistry of it, the molecular biology of it, we don't know. So that is where we are now next doing research, that how an Ayurvedic prescription at the molecular level, what are the reactions, what is the synthesis, what is the outcome, how it interacts with the other things in the body, how it deals with it. That's what we are, because pharmacology is very advanced scientifically. It has a complete process, it has complete pathway. But here we don't have in Ayurveda, we just know it works. So now, because that time there were no molecular biology labs and nobody could have those machines, but now we are putting up all these things. Our students will get a nice chance to actually do the molecular biology level experiments of Ayurvedic medicines to understand how that works. So then we can compare the pathway with any other clinical pathway or any other pharmacological pathway, and then understand why Ayurveda would work better or not work better. That would be the way we would deal with it. Because one shloka has taken away all my time. The second shloka is 13.2. Next page. Kutrapi khedah kayasya jihva kutrapi khidyate manah kutrapi tatyaktva purusharthe sthitah sukham. It says, kutrapi khedah kayasya. When is the time in our life when body is not desirous of things and then gets tired of things? Kheda means some kind of a remorse, regret, distress, or trouble. When is the time in our life when body is always happy, healthy and has no problem at all? Never. Someday some problem keeps coming to this body. It's a part of life. It keeps running behind desires. I want to eat this, I want to do that. Then you have sugar, then you have cholesterol, then you have this. This is a part of life. This I have seen. Kutrapi. When is the time, where is the place when the body is perfect? Never. It always, if nothing else is happening, you are aging. Age brings its own related issues. So body is a part of this thing, I have noticed that. Then what else? Jihva kutrapi khidyate. Jihva, the tongue. It wants to taste and also speak. These are the two troubles of the tongue. Actually, if you control tongue, you can control everything they say. Jivagre vasre Lakshmi, Jivagre mitra bandhava, Swami used to say. On the tip of your tongue resides Lakshmi, means if you speak well, you will earn wealth. Jivagre mitra bandhava, on the tip of your tongue, your friends and relations live. It means if you speak well, you'll have good friends and relations. Like that, he used to have a shloka. I don't remember the whole thing. Something else. Like that, on the tongue, so everything depends. So that is why he says that when is the time when the tongue was not desirous and troubling you? I want to eat this, I want to speak this. Unnecessary spoke, troubled everybody. Last chapter he says, no, how many horrible things I have done with this body and tongue and mind. So again repetition. When was the time when this body was peaceful, you tell me? Someday or the other, some problem or the other keeps coming. Then when was the time when this tongue was at peace? Always wants to speak unnecessarily, gossip, rumor mongering, lying, and saying hard things, harsh things, maybe sometimes good things. But tongue has also given me a lot of trouble. When was the time the tongue was not giving trouble? Then he says, Mana kutrapi. And when was the time when mind was not giving trouble? It cannot sit in one place in one time, keeps thinking of some past or future, keeps worrying about what happened or regrets. When was the time when mind was also at peace? It was always distressed. This is the nature of body, mind and tongue. They are always like that. They keep pulling you in all directions. So, tat tyaktva purusharthe sthita sukham. I have given up my desire for pleasing my body and tongue and the mind. Because there is no end to their desires and the troubles that come with those desires. I have stopped pleasing them. And purusharthe also he says, for the purushartha we put body, mind and speech to work. What are the purusharthas? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha are purusharthas. Dharma means righteous living, artha means righteous earning, kama means righteous desires, and moksha means final liberation. For the sake of these four only I have put my body, tongue and mind to work. All this life. My body was made to work so that I can earn, I can gain something, have children, raise a family, fight a war, what not, and enjoy the pleasures of senses. I put my body to all these things. Tongue I have put to so many things. I am a king, obviously I have given verdicts and pronounced judgments and called people what they are and things like that. Sometimes lies have happened, so many things. But for what sake? For the sake of earning money, for the sake of ruling the kingdom, I have used my tongue in so many ways. And manas, in mind also, I have thought, planned, strategized a war, how to kill the enemy, how to gain more wealth, how to run the kingdom. How much I have done with all these things. For what sake? Purusharthe. For the sake of attaining dharma, artha, kama. And even moksha is saying. She is included. For moksha's sake, what I have done? I have done yajna, yagas and tirtha yatras and dana and punya and God knows what all I have done in the name of attaining moksha. But when was the time that I was at peace doing all these things? Never. I was always restless. I was always disturbed. I was always distressed because of body, tongue and mind which was being used to attain the dharma, artha, kama, moksha. I was always restless. Finally, I have given up. I have given up all this and says what? Sthita sukham. Tat tyaktva sthita sukham. Given up all these ideas and now I am happy. Otherwise, how much we strain ourselves to earn a little extra bucks to make another good friend or enemy, to win somebody's heart and love, and to raise children and make them some decent beings, to deal with your businesses and enemies and neighbors and politics and how much we have strained ourselves, he says. And even those who give up everything, shave off their head and tie a langot and go off to Himalayas in the name of attaining moksha. How much we have tortured ourselves. But now I have understood, I am done with all this. Sthita sukham, I have become happy and established. So you may ask, so what dharma, artha, kama, moksha should we not follow? You only are telling follow everything. Follow, but with what attitude is the question I am asking. Attitude of doing and gaining and enjoying, and that is not there. Yadayat kartumayati. As it comes, you are doing. You are a student, your duty is to behave well like a student. You study what is taught and give your very best. That's it, period. No, I am a student because I have to then get one first rank, and after first rank I am going to go to another country and do this, and after that I will get another big job. No need of all this. Student's job is to learn, not earn, not to think about earning. Think about learning. Satisfy that curiosity in you of intellectual curiosity, that is fine. And also learn morals of life because that will help you in the future. That's why our education system has both academic as well as spiritual knowledge, because it teaches you both intellectual as well as the spiritual thoughts. Both are required to balance yourself in life. So many students are very intelligent, brilliant. A little distraction or a little failure or setback, they commit suicide. They can't handle one situation like this of a failure. Why? Because no spiritual and moral inputs. Immorality is, you don't know how much it is in the society. So much of immorality. Spirituality doesn't exist at all. And these students cannot withstand small setbacks and shakes in life. So spiritual knowledge. So student life you enjoy like that. Don't get into other nonsense. Then you come to the next life. Grasta life is there. You have to earn wealth. Yes, you have to raise a family, earn wealth, take care of your friends and family. That's enough. Accumulating wealth mindlessly, aimlessly, cutting corners, lying, cheating, defrauding, that is not necessary. Then kama, desires. What kind of desires? Desires have no end. So desires which are correct, moral, spiritual and good for everybody, fine, it's agreed upon. Beyond that, mindlessly you desire this, that, everything I want under the sky. How much strain we put our body, mind and speech for these things? That's what he's saying. And even for moksha, he's saying. For moksha also we run away from society, tie a coffin cloth and try to attain God, torturing our body by not feeding it, not taking care of it, and think that we are become spiritual. Absolute nonsense is what he's saying. But I was also a part of it, he agrees. Like this, I've done all this and I've understood all this was nonsense. I shouldn't have, I need not have. I should have changed my attitude towards things and everything would have been okay. But today I have changed. I am not going to anymore put my body or tongue or mind to such torture for the sake of attaining dharma, artha, kama, moksha and all that thing. I am not running behind anything anymore. I am established in the self, I am happy. Let things happen as they are supposed to happen. As long as I follow the principles right, that I am divine and I must behave accordingly, everything is fine. Whether you're in a student life or a married life or a monk life or an initiate life, as long as you believe you're divine and you behave accordingly, everything will be right. The moment we forget that we are divine, that's where all the confusion begins, right? Then we think, I am so and so, I am son of so and so, I am supposed to be earning so much, I am supposed to be respected, I am supposed to be recognized. All the problem starts from then you torture your body, mind and tongue for fulfilling all those. So he says, when was the time when I did not do all this nonsense? I have done. Now I have realized. And I always justified it also by saying, no, it is as per the scripture for dharma, artha, kama, moksha only I am working. But no, deep under your desire for yourself, your ambitions, your attachments made you work. And this wrong notion that you are the body and not the self, that has made you work. So I have given up all these things, even for the sake of Purushartha. If it says do this, do that, you will attain moksha. If you donate this much to this temple, if you go on a pilgrimage like this, if you climb up that mountain and do this puja, or stand on one leg, chant these many mantras, I would only say thank you very much for your advice. I don't need it. Because I have understood these are all not real. So these all are things that I have gotten over, and now I am very happy, established in myself. Now just imagine the state of Janaka. One should feel really, I don't know, if you don't know that state, then you should feel horrible that you don't know that state still. What is this stuck in this mind, body, wife, children, wealth, position, power, ambition, this plan, this desire, that desire. Enough is enough, that's what Janaka is saying. Somebody who doesn't live like that must be miserable according to Janaka, because I am happy only after not being like them. And I appreciate it totally what Janaka is saying, because I have experienced these things, right? I live like that. I live like that. And I also know how much torture I have given to body, mind and tongue to do whatever I needed to do. See, that is why Bhagavan sent me outside to work in a bank. The worst place that you can work on this earth is a private sector bank. Why? Because it's so competitive, so aggressive, so money-minded, so greedy, so cutthroat. Very, very cutthroat. Of course, now everything has become like that. Hospitals have become like that, business centers, education has become like that. Name it. Anything and everything under the sky. But if you are directly dealing with finance, it's even worse, no? Because all the time you're looking how this money, 1 rupee can become 2, 2 become 4, 4 become 8. That's all is your calculation, all the time running in your head. Whomever you talk to, you're only thinking, how can I benefit from this? How can I make that attitude. Where is service in that sector? It's called service sector, but there is no service. Disservice only happens most of the time. The insurance sector people had come here a few days back. What were they telling? They are having problem with all the private sector hospitals because the private sector hospital charges have gone through the roof. And insurance sectors are not willing to compensate for such huge charges. They're saying it is unreal. And that is the tussle going on between the insurance and the hospital sector. Because insurance says, you are charging too much. If we start reimbursing you for these kind of charges, we will go bankrupt. Hospital says, that is the real charge. My costs have gone up, my medicines have gone up, human resource cost has gone up. I have to charge. The patient says, I don't have money, I have only an insurance, whatever insurance can pay. So that is the fight going on between Indian insurance companies and that. And can you believe, some 1.5 years back, I read an article that one of the largest insurance companies in the US, his CEO was shot dead on a street in New York. CEO was shot dead by some disgruntled insurance holder who was denied the claim, because that is the tactic of most of the insurance companies. They'll give some excuse, this particular document, that particular diagnosis, that is why we will not give you your reimbursement. And the patients feel cheated. They have paid premiums all this while, so that on the rainy day like this, when they had to get admitted in a cruel corporate hospital, they will at least have some succor and relief that insurance company will pay some money. And insurance company makes them run pillar to post because they don't want to pay for silly reasons. So the CEO was shot dead, and I thought, what would be the reaction on the internet? The internet was rejoicing, celebrating, appreciating whoever was that courageous murderer of that CEO. They said he deserved it. And that article came out. And I was reading that article. People celebrated as if they have killed a Rakshasa, some demon, because they were so crooked. They will take premiums, which is compulsory as per the government or whatever schemes, and they don't pay the reimbursement claims. And this is not only there, this is across the world, the way it works. So then the insurance people, all of them were here. They were all top insurance companies, 33 companies which are planning to work with our hospital. Their idea was that yours will be an honest hospital, it will charge you only so much. And I gave them the advice backstage. And they told me, we haven't heard an advice like this in all our careers. They are those who have really run companies. He was telling, in the last 1 year, insurance companies put together in India have paid reimbursements worth 1 lakh crore rupees to all the hospitals which are empaneled under them. But we know that some of these are overcharged. So I told them, you work with us, 3 benefits. 1, I charge very less to the patients because we are running at cost to cost basis. No, we are not for profit. Anyway, I'll do it for free. Even if you don't give insurance reimbursement, anyway we will treat the patient, whatever it costs. But compare us with another hospital outside in Bangalore, it will charge you for a cardiac surgery 10 lakh rupees. I will charge, even if I put all the costs together, my cost, if it's a normal surgery, it won't cost beyond 2 lakh rupees to us. And whatever other charges like food, bed, these things, that also is charged extra, which insurance companies don't cover. Our hospital covers that, gives them food, accommodation, patients, attendants, accommodation is food also, and food, medicine. We don't send them up and down running to the pharmacy every 10 minutes to get this injection, that medicine. Everything is provided on the bedside and such good care. And what are you going to benefit? Patient will benefit because he's getting honest care at a right type of costing. And what is insurance company going to get out of it? There you would have reimbursed 8 lakh rupees. Here you have to reimburse much lesser than that to us. For which sake we can take care of your patient who has been insured with you. And you can thereby save, instead of 1 lakh crore disbursement, then your disbursement could have been just 50,000 crores. And 50,000 crores you would have saved. Then what should you do? They started thinking, oh, this is a real good idea. I said, wait. Before you start imagining that you will become hugely profitable and all, you should pass on the benefit to the patient by reducing the premium amount. Earlier you were charging 50,000 rupees premium, now you should charge 25,000. Why? You have saved 50,000 crores because of hospitals like us. And patient should be the beneficiary for his sake. I work not for your sake, I work for the patient's sake. The end beneficiary is patient. So they were all shocked. They said, this, see, at best they were rejoicing that yes, it can bring down our premium, bring down our reimbursement claims. At least the amount will come down. But I also told them, no, story doesn't end there. It should pass on to the patient. The premiums should come down. What will happen? Then more people can afford insurance. Today, if you ask a family of 4 to pay an insurance premium of 20,000 rupees, they struggle in a lower middle class family. But they are the ones who are not having neither insurance nor government schemes. They are stuck in between. They have nowhere to go. So if you bring down the premium from 20,000 to 10,000 rupees, there is a better possibility of such small families also taking insurance. So you can actually change the fate of the healthcare of the industry if you work. Then they all sat and listened and said, this is the blueprint for the next 25 years of how we should work. What you have told in one direction. And then they told me, you know what you should do? You should open so many hospitals that we can work with you all through the country. I said, I have a plan, but I need people. See, I may build a very good, honest hospital, but doctors are corrupt, nurses are corrupt, eco technicians are corrupt, ultrasound technicians are corrupt, then what will I do? So I need good manpower, very honest, competent, and character staff I require. That's why I started a medical school for free, because if you pay and study medicine, then you will try to earn it back, because you have a huge burden of debt, which is fair. You have to go and earn. So you will join all those corporate hospitals. We are making a mince of the meat of the patients. They are cheating patients. That is why, to address that problem also, I have thought that far and opened a free medical nursing and paramedical institution, so that these children will join these hospitals which you are asking me to build, and there won't be any corruption in the healthcare system. And you honestly must reimburse whatever the right claims are coming. And if you are profiteering out of it, which you would, I know, at the end of it, pass on that benefit to the poor patient, reduce the cost of premium. I gave them a vision. The day you can bring down insurance premium per person to 500 rupees, I think I would say you people have done well. That is the way we should run this country, and we should build preventive health care. If you build preventive healthcare, tertiary healthcare will never happen. Suppose my clinics are everywhere, what we call wellness centers are everywhere in every village. Before the person shows up any big symptoms of disease, we have already taken care by screening it that it may get cancer. In first stage itself, we'll resolve the cancer. That doesn't cost anything. But if the cancer grows untreated, undiagnosed, and becomes fourth stage, and they come to you for insurance claims, then you'll have to pay chemotherapy charges, radiotherapy charges. But the same person, if I have taken care with 500 rupees per year cost to take care of his lab, take care of his basic diagnostic, and also monitor him, you will never end up with a lakhs of rupees of tertiary care reimbursement at all, even if you have covered him under that. So that is the model I was talking about, that how preventive healthcare can change. But we don't have people to run these centers. Yesterday I also met the bureaucrat who was saying, government has a huge scheme, Ayushman Arogya Mandirs and all that. Empty mandirs. Mandir without devata. Means there is no doctor inside the mandir. Only pujaris are there. Patients are waiting outside. Because nobody wants to work in rural India. Why will they work? They have loans to pay, and they have ambitions on top of it. And corporate sector is getting all the PE investment from abroad. Left, right, center investment is happening in healthcare sector. So they are just absorbing all the good doctors. So even honest doctors are becoming dishonest in the process. Fighting this battle, I alone stand here in the middle of this Kurukshetra, saying I will not let this happen. We will open more centers, we will open more healthcare clinics or wellness centers, we will open more mid-tier 2 hospitals, we will open more tertiary care centers, but I must be supported. My patient cannot pay. Somebody needs to support this. Government should support, healthcare sector, insurance should support, somebody should support. How long donors will support? That's why we came up with this new strategy of tying up with insurance companies which can have insurance for middle class people also. Otherwise middle class go bankrupt. Poor class at least are covered on Ayushman Bharat. That too I gave yesterday to our Ayushman Bharat person who had come. I told him, your scheme reimbursement have you seen? Which hospital on the earth will work for this kind of reimbursement? Nobody will work. For a procedure that costs 50,000 rupees, you are giving me 15,000 rupees reimbursement. That's why no hospital runs Ayushman schemes. There are 20,000 plus hospitals registered, but I am told 7,000 to 8,000 hospitals are deregistered already. Because they feel what money government is giving is pittance. So he himself told that the central government health scheme which was launched in 2014 at certain rates for all the schemes, the rates were revised in 2025. How much has happened in 10 years, you imagine? Do you think the same paracetamol costs the same 10 years later? Or same injection or same doctor's salary? No, everything is increased, but government never increased the rates. Now only they've increased, he said, which is also not sufficient. Even a charity is struggling to do, right? Charity means no cost to me. Infrastructure costs, I'm not charging you. Profit costs, I'm not charging you. Plus so much of volunteerism. Despite that, we are not able to survive in the Ayushman rates because it is so low in so many schemes. Only few schemes, there are decent rates. Others are all so low. So if you spend 1 crore rupees on the patient, Ayushman Bharat does not even give us 20 lakh rupees out of it. The remaining 80 lakhs, we have to put it from our pocket. Which hospital on this earth will run on these government schemes, you tell me? And you talk about universal health care. What a sham it is. This is what I was telling that bureaucrat who has 37 years of experience in healthcare and God knows which all sector in the government of India. He said, you are right, whatever you are saying is right. I told them, you should do something about it. He said, we are first time we have come across an hospital like you, a medical college like you, and a person like you. We never had even understanding that such a thing is happening or can happen in India. Generally, it's our corporates and other people, or government setup. So I told, no, we must make some changes, because true health of the nation is the wealth of the nation. True wealth is the health of the nation, right? Because otherwise people will not work. They will be dependent on government's doles. They will not be productive. Then how will the nation move forward? So I am so interested in, one side I am interested in your spiritual health at this end of the spectrum. Another side I am also interested in your physical and mental health in between. Because without that you cannot attain God. Health is important to attain God also. A sick person, how will he think of God? Mentally sick or physically sick, cannot think of God. How will he realize God? Not possible. That's why health was given such importance. We have a God of health, Dharmantari, because we gave that importance. But unfortunately, in the modernization, westernization, or commercialization of all these sectors, it has become a sham. And government is only doing so much, and its intentions, even if intentions are there, its capability to execute is extremely questionable. That's where a new model is emerging in the country of health, which is ours. And I thought it is a good opening discourse for all the new joiners of medical college and nursing and paramedic, that what is our vision of health, where you fit in the puzzle. As healthcare professionals, where do you find your place in this grand scheme of things, which is set to change the way health is delivered in the country and beyond in the world? Can we achieve this? Of course, yes. Can we achieve this tomorrow? No. Will it take some time? Yes. How much time? I do not know. Depends on you people, you children, you doctors, you professors. How fast you can give me those highly competent but highly charactered doctors back. That fast we can grow. And these companies, insurance companies and CSRs, how much they can support us build more centers across the country, so that we don't have people running into tertiary healthcare emergencies, which is an excessive burden to the country. That better it is, that fast it would be. With technology, right kind of people and right partners, all this is possible. Please note down all these things, the children who have joined new and all the old ones also. Make notes of whatever I have spoken just now. And this is on YouTube, so you can always go back and listen. And write down the vision for healthcare in our institute. That is the essay. And write a 250 words essay on the vision for healthcare in our institute. Would you be able to write? Yeah. When will you submit? 10 minutes? Today you digest it, take 1 day to write it, and day after you submit it. Don't write more than 250 words. I have no time to read so much. So just write enough, write in 4 or 5 points, the various types of ideas that we discussed, and bring it as an assignment 3 days from now. That is today, tomorrow, day after you have to give. All right? And write in decent handwriting. You know, last year, so many of the students lost their marks because of bad handwriting. They lost their grades because of bad handwriting. As such, doctors are known for their bad handwritings. And this is another skill you have to develop. You have to write. You have to write, practice writing. So you write it in your own handwriting. I would like to go through everybody's handwriting and see whose handwriting is so horrible that they are losing marks. Why should you lose marks? You have the knowledge, you have written, but nobody could read it. That's why they didn't give marks. That is what some of the external examiners gave the feedback, that some people's handwriting was so bad, they couldn't read what they had written, and so they could not give marks. And they lost their grades. Don't do that. That is foolishness. So please submit in your own handwriting, and all this applies to everybody. All the medical college students, new, old, nursing students, new and old, paramedical students, new and old, and whoever else is associated with academics, like the professors and assistant professors. Everybody should write. I want to see what their handwriting looks like, the professors. Yatha Raja Tadha Praja Daya. Who will take charge of submitting this to me? Where is that? Huh? So I have to see Dr. Raghupati's handwriting first, actually. Please collect all these and submit to me day after. From the academics department, I'm not asking the clinical people. Clinical people I'll ask because they're very busy. I cannot ask them to sit and write all this. But once you have submitted, we'll make a final vision document that can be shared with everybody. What is that bhajan? There is one bhajan, Purandadasta. Purandaradasara bhajan ide, Indu Daya Bharade. He says, oh Lord, I have spent so many lifetimes wasting everything, and I'm praying to you to redeem me of this mess that I've created for myself. Please have compassion on me and save me from this eye and mine.
ನಾನಾ ದೇಶಗಳಿಂದ ನಾನಾ ಕಾಲಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನಾ ಯೋನಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಲಿದು ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ನಾನು ನನ್ನದು ಎಂಬ ನರಕದೊಳಗೆ ಬಿದ್ದು ನಾನು ನನ್ನದು ಎಂಬ ನರಕದೊಳಗೆ ಬಿದ್ದು ನೀನೇ ಗತಿ ಎಂದು ನೀನೇ ಗತಿ ಎಂದು ನಂಬಿದ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಪನ್ನಗ ಶಯನ ಶ್ರೀ ಪರಮ ಪುರುಷ ಹರಿಯೇ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಪನ್ನಗ ಶಯನ ಶ್ರೀ ಪರಮ ಪುರುಷ ಹರಿಯೇ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾನಾ ದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನಾ ಕಾಲಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನಾ ದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನಾ ಕಾಲಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನಾ ಯೋನಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಲಿದು ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ನಾನಾ ದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನಾ ಕಾಲಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನಾ ಯೋನಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಲಿದು ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ನಾನು ನನ್ನದು ಎಂಬ ನರಕದೊಳಗೆ ಬಿದ್ದು ನಾನು ಮೇಲೆ ಇಂದು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಪನ್ನಗ ಶಯನ ಶ್ರೀ ಪರಮ ಪುರುಷ ಹರಿಯೇ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಮನೋವಾಕಾಯದಿಂದ ಮಾಡಿದ ಕರ್ಮಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಮನೋವಾಕಾಯದಿಂದ ಮಾಡಿದ ಕರ್ಮಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ದಾನವಾಂತಕ ನಿನ್ನ ದಾನವಿತೆ ಮನೋವಾಕಾಯದಿಂದ ಮಾಡಿದ ಕರ್ಮಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ದಾನವಾಂತಕ ನಿನಗೆ ದಾನವಿತೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದರೇನೋ ಪ್ರಾಣ ನಿನ್ನದು ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದರೇನು ಪ್ರಾಣ ನಿನ್ನದು ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದರೇನು ಪ್ರಾಣ ನಿನ್ನದು ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಶ್ರೀನಾಥ ಪುರಂದರ ಶ್ರೀನಾಥ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲನ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಪನ್ನಗ ಶಯನ ಶ್ರೀ ಪರಮ ಪುರುಷ ಹರಿಯೇ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಪನ್ನಗ ಶಯನ ಶ್ರೀ ಪರಮ ಪುರುಷ ಹರಿಯೇ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ಇನ್ನು ದಯ ಬಾರದೆ ದಾಸನ ಮೇಲೆ
ಸುಗುಣ ಸಿಂಧವೇ ಸಕಲ ಸುಜನ ಬಂಧವೇ ಸರ್ವ ಸುಗುಣ ಸಿಂಧವೇ ಸಕಲ ಸುಜನ ಬಂಧವೇ ಗುರವೇ ಮಧುಸೂದನಾಯ ಮಹಿತ ಮಂಗಳಂ ಸದ್ಗುರವೇ ಮಧುಸೂದನಾಯ ಮಹಿತ ಮಂಗಳಂ ದೀನ ದುಃಖಿತ ಪೋಷಕಾಯ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಧರ್ಮ ಪ್ರೇರಕಾಯ ದೀನ ದುಃಖಿತ ಪೋಷಕಾಯ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಧರ್ಮ ಪ್ರೇರಕಾಯ ಸರ್ವಲೋಕಹಿತರಕಾಯ ಸರ್ವಮಂಗಳಂ ಸದ್ಗುರವೇ ಮಧುಸೂದನಾಯ ಮಹಿತಮಂಗಳಂ ವೇದನಾದ ವರ್ಧಕಾಯ ವಿಶ್ವಶಾಂತಿ ಸ್ಥಾಪಕಾಯ ज्ञानबोधकाय दिव्यमङ्गलम् सद्गुरवे मधुसूदनाय मङ्गलम् सत्यसायिनः प्रियाय सत्यप्रेमविग्रहाय सत्यसायिनः प्रियाय सत्यप्रेमविग्रहाय नित्यशुद्धनिर्मलाय दिव्यमङ्गलम् सद्गुरवे मधुसूदनाय दिव्यमङ्गलम् सद्गुरवे मधुसूदनाय मङ्गलम् ॐ जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्तजना संरक्षक भक्तजना संरक्षक पति महेश्वर ॐ जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रितकल्पलतिका आश्रितकल्पलतिका आपद्बान्धवा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे मातपिता गुरुदैवं मर्यन्तयो नीवे स्वामी मर्यन्तयो नीवे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा नागेन्द्राशय ॐ जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी साई महादेवा सद्गुरु साई महादेवा मंगल हारति अंदुको मंगल हारति अंदुको मंदर गिरिधारी ॐ जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण नारायण ॐ नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण ॐ जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण नारायण ॐ नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण ॐ जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण नारायण ॐ नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण ॐ सत्यनारायण नारायण ॐ जय सद्गुरुदेवा ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय जय बोलो सद्गुरु श्री मधुसूदन साई जी की